Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the News Today edition of 25th of July, wherein try and make all important news of the day in the most simplest format for you guys to understand. So let's look at important news for today. So a comprehensive economic trade agreement has been signed between India and UK. There has been a release of draft National Telecom Policy of 2025. The Parliamentary Estimates Committee has talked about organic and natural farming. Again, India-UK Vision 2035 document has been released. There has been National Cooperation Policy 2025. And there has been a discussion about sustainability issue with respect to coral reefs in India. We are also going to cover place in news, that is Cambodia. So let's look at the first news for today. So very important, our Honorable Prime Minister has been on a bilateral visit to UK, and again there has been a lot of improvement with respect to India-UK relations. So one of the very important thing has been with respect to the signing of comprehensive economic trade agreement between India and UK. So as far as syllabus linkage of this particular topic is concerned, I'm sure all of you must have been knowing. Again, very important for paper number 2. Again, the subtopics why I have covered over here. So because many times we do not understand that again which subtopic of international relation can be interlinked to the news, right? So of course here bilateral relations, regional and global groupings, right? Then again very important because this has been one major development after Brexit by UK. So again it is going to impact the policies and politics of developed and developing countries of India interest. So again that is how these are the two subtopics of IR which can be interlinked to this particular news. So let's talk about what exactly is CETA, that is Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. So again, it is basically a bilateral trade agreement between India and UK. It is going to ease out the investment opportunities in terms of boosting trade, in terms of service, in terms of people-to-people ties. So again, this is how it is going to talk about a new, fair and ambitious and modern trade agreement between India and UK, right? With respect to objectives, currently the trade between India and UK is somewhere around 60 billion euros, right? It is going to be doubled by 2030. That has been the vision as per this particular agreement, right? And we are going to remove all trade as well as non-trade barriers with respect to trade between India and UK. And we are going to strengthen the strategic partnership between the two leading democracies, that is India and UK. We'll go a little bit detail and discuss what exactly has been in over here. So in terms of tariff elimination, what exactly are tariffs? Tariffs are basically taxes which are imposed by countries on some products which are getting imported from a different country. That is as simple as that. So with this agreement coming into picture, there has been a reduction of 99%. So what is your meaning of 99%? So 99% of products which are going from India to UK are going to be tax-free. That has been a major achievement in this particular deal, right? So 99% of the products. So again, basically it is going to benefit which sectors? Textile, leather, toys, gems and jewelry, and auto parts, chemical and marine products. This is the major industries which are exporting to UK. When it comes to, of course, it is a bilateral agreements. Of course, something has been there for UK as well. So 90% of the products which are entering from UK to India there will be an ease out of on tariff on these particular products. So again, this is going to be reduced, right? So which industries are going to gain out of it? Because in terms of liquor, in terms of salmon, chocolate and advanced manufacturing, so these are the areas in UK which are going to benefit out of this particular agreement. Moving on, what more has been there with respect to this particular agreement? So there has been a talk on MSME as well. So what has been there? So now Indian MSME can bid for UK government contracts. That is again a boost to Indian MSME sectors as well, followed by the Indian farming sector, because India has their own indigenous traditional farming practices. So again, they are getting a protection under patent as per this particular agreement. Then, as I discussed, in trade, there are some tariff and non-tariff barriers as well. So again, this agreement has also been talking about certain non-tariff issues with respect to simplified custom procedures. Like, what are custom procedures? Maybe when a good is entering to Indian soil or a Indian good is entering the UK soil, there are some custom clearances. So again, that has been eased out, that has been made more easier, right? And again, we are also targeting with respect to faster and smoother movement of goods and services between the two countries. Then, in terms of mobility of professionals, this is also a major component of this particular agreement, where again, Indian professionals with respect to IT, finance, engineering, architecture, and yoga. So they are going to get relaxed visa norms, right? So again, this is again a boost to employment opportunity in the soils of UK as per this particular agreement. And again, it is also talking about India's service export and global talent flow, which with respect to the ease out of visa rules. Then we talk about double contribution convention. So what exactly is double contribution convention? That again, if someone, let's say you are an employee in an Indian company, and again for 3 years your company is sending you to UK for work, right? So what has happening that again, the employee need to contribute to both the country's social security measures. Example, in India we have PF contribution, something like that. In UK, of course, they have some social security measures. So the employee was supposed to pay for both the social security of both countries. So this has been relaxed as per this particular agreement. So again, the timeline has been fixed. If you are going on for up to 3 years, so for that you need not to pay for social security in UK. That has been there with respect to double contribution convention as per this agreement. Then we talk about boost to Indian services and IT sector. Again, in terms of digital services, again, it is going to enhance. The state has been talking about in terms of specifically in the areas of engineering and architecture. There has to be in collaboration between the two countries, right? And it is going to improve India's global competitiveness in terms of service sector, right? Then we talk about, we are also discussing in this document about the strategic and technological gains, where again, technology transfer between two countries, specifically from UK to India, and sometimes from from India to UK as well. That has been discussed in this document, which is going, and again, it is going to boost to UK investment in India, right? Then we talk about there has been a diversified and secure supply chains, right? And there has been, very important, we are less dependent on one route of trade between the two countries. So again, there has been a discussion around how we are going to diversify the areas through which trade are being happening, right? So these are the major things which has been discussed in this particular agreement. Very important for your examination, right, between India and UK as bilateral relations, right? So let's look one important PYQ which has been asked in the year 2018, right? So India's relationship with the UK has become stronger in the last decade, but there remains areas that need attention, right? So this is where there has been some major agreement, some major event is happening between country, right? So that become a area of question by UPSC. So again, this is very important with respect to the examination. Moving on to the next news for the day. So the Department of Telecommunications has released a draft telecom policy of 2025, right? So again, telecom sector, all of you know, very important area for your syllabus of examination. It can be linked to paper number 2, that is governance in terms of policy reforms, right? Then in terms of digital inclusion as well, in paper number 3, in terms of Indian economy, telecom sector, in terms of science and tech. So these are the areas of syllabus which can be interlinked to this particular news. Now let's look at what has been the background. So again, this is not something new. The last telecom policy was there in the year 2018. So after 7 years, there has been a revision of the original telecom policy. Again, we have not made something new. We have just updated the previous telecom policy, right? So because why it was needed? Because technology has been on a a lot of inventions have been made, a lot of new things have come up. So again, the telecom sector has to be updated with respect to 5G, 6G, artificial intelligence, satellites, quantum computers, right? So in terms of, and again, it is also going to give a global push for digital leadership for India. Then the vision of this particular new telecom policy is telecom India is going to be, that is Bharat is going to be a telecom product nation. Again, these kind of lines you can either use in introductions or conclusions of your answer, right? So maybe if a question talks about any telecom question in the examination, you can use this a phrase maybe as a hook line in introduction or conclusions of your answers, right? Then the focus, of course, is on domestic innovation, right? Maybe research and development around the telecom sectors. Then we are going to have a very secured and inclusive connectivity that has been a theme with respect to the policy. And we are also moving for a sustainable telecom sector by making it a green telecom economy, right? So the key aims, what has been put forward, key with respect to the new telecom policy, what are we aiming in the next few years, right? So we are also targeting with respect to universal and meaningful connectivity. So what we have targeted, again, by 2030, 100% 4G cover should be in India, and 90% of 5G connectivity by 2030. Very important facts you can use in validating certain points if you're writing any question with respect to telecom sector of India. Now, in terms of GDP boost, again, the telecom sector is expected to double its contribution. That has been the vision of this particular policy. Then in terms of investment, approximately 1 lakh crore per year of investment has been targeted with respect to telecom sector. In terms of employment generation, right? Because again, it can be interlinked with economy, because we are moving for a kind of a development which is going to be inclusive, and as well as it is going to create employment opportunities. So again, this policy has also talked about creation of 10 lakh new jobs, right? And again, with an idea of skilling, because job employment generation is not the only solution. People also need to be skilled. So this policy also talks about upskilling of 10 lakh workers in the telecom sector. Then the idea of sustainability, 30% of carbon footprint which has been contributed by telecom sectors has to be cut down. That has been the target. And lastly, in terms of security, because again, as I discussed, data and everything is very much unsecure with the growing technology, artificial intelligence, right? So it is also talking about how the networks or telecom networks is India is going to be quantum resilient networks. So these are the few aims and target with respect to the telecom policy. Then with respect to the strategies, what has been discussed as per this particular document, that we are going to have a universal connectivity. So again, the idea is of rural and remote outreach, maybe in terms of optical fiber infrastructure. And again, we are going to expand the 4G and 5G network coverage in India. Then we talk about the innovation of ecosystem, right? So again, this telecom sector needs to be innovated in terms of startup, research and development, industry academic linkage, right? And industry academic government linkage, that is very important. Then in terms of, we are going to boost the manufacturing sector, that is domestic manufacturing, again aligning with the idea of the new manufacturing policy of the government, where again we have been boosting the manufacturing sector, which has a huge potential with respect to growth of Indian economy, and at the very same time also a very good opportunity to boost the employment opportunities in India, right? So again, we are targeting design-led manufacturing, skill development, investment in this particular area. Then again, networks need to be secured and trusted. For this, we are working towards cyber hygiene, border monitoring, and quantum tech usage. Then again, the whole idea of ease of doing business, because there are telecom companies who are working in this telecom sector. So again, business rules has to be eased out. So again, that has also been discussed in this particular policy in terms of simplifying the access. the idea of simplifying the grievance redressal mechanisms and digital inclusion, because telecom sectors requires digital inclusion as well. Then we're also going to talk about the sustainable nature of this telecom sector, where again the whole idea of sustainability, the circular use of economy has been discussed as per this particular document. Then it has also talked about a few tech areas. Again, in terms of technology integration to telecom policy, we are working towards 5G. And again, 5G, of course, is there in India. We're also talking about the feasibility of 6G readiness, right? Then in terms of use of artificial intelligence telecom sector, because many a times what we have seen, it has both usage. In terms of, we have seen that again, how certain networks are hacked by the use of artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence can also be used at the very same time to track down these kind of issues, right? So again, this is where AI integration has also been discussed in this policy. Then again, Internet of Things, satellite communication, respect to quantum communications, right? Quantum, of course, we have discussed many times. It is going to be a full proof encryption that could not be decrypted at any instance, right? And again, we are also going to use the idea of blockchain for secure telecom processes. So these are the few tech areas which has been discussed in this particular policy, right? Then we talk about the, in terms of infrastructure and connectivity targets, what some targets has been fixed up with respect to fiberized towers. Again, from 46% in this year till up to 80% has been the target with respect to infrastructure of towers. Then again, Wi-Fi hotspots in India is going to be around 10 lakh by 2030. In terms of domestic manufacturing, we are going to increase the production by 150%. And lastly, in terms of satellite internet, it is encouraging with respect to many times what we have seen that again, there are no connectivity in rural areas, right? So again, for in those areas, we have been, the policy has been proposing the usage of remote areas in terms of satellite internet. So these are the few targets with respect to infrastructure and connectivity. Then in terms of green and sustainable telecom sector, we have a target to reduce the emission by this sector by 30%. And again, we are going to work towards green technologies, renewable energy, right? And we are going to be pushing this the telecom sector to a circular economy, where again, we are going to recycle the old infrastructure, and we are going to minimize the e-waste, which is very important component for environment sustainability. Then, in terms of importance of this particular policy, all of you know that how important it is with respect to digital public infrastructure of India. Then it is going to position India as 6G, and with respect to the growing changes coming in the artificial intelligence, it is also promoting the idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat in the telecom manufacturing sectors, right? It is bridging the rural-urban divide with respect to the usage of mobile phones and connectivity with respect to internet. Then it is also aligning with the climate goals and the cyber security strategy. So this is the few areas that how this policy is strategically important for Indian economy, right? Then the next news for today. So again, as UK has been on news, so again, there has been a new document which has been released, which is talking about India UK Vision 2035. So down the line, for after now, still 10 years, how we are envisioning India UK relations, that has been discussed in this particular document. So it is going to be a strategic roadmap. So initially we had a roadmap until 2030. So this document has been revised, and there has been a new vision of India for 10 years with respect to UK, right? So it has replaced the older roadmap of 2030. And again, it is aiming to boost India UK relations and partnership more deeper, right? And again, very important, it is based on a concept of BRISK, BRISK cooperation, right? Very important: business, research, innovation, science and tech, and knowledge. So on all of these areas, we are going to cooperate. So very important, whenever a question is being asked, you can talk about in India-UK relations, that again, how we are working on this brisk cooperation. You can mention these specific keywords in your answers or in conclusions of your answers, right? So use these new terminologies which are coming in newses like this, right? Then we talk about what are the areas which this document has been discussing, right? So in areas of trade and economic growth, of course, we have discussed that again, we have signed a comprehensive economic and trade agreement, which is going to ease out the bilateral trade relations between India and UK, right? Number one. Then again, in terms of cooperation in technology and innovation, right? So again, we are going to create an India-UK research innovation corridor, right? Where again, we are going to jointly work towards research in science, artificial intelligence, and digital technologies. And again, also we are going to be collaborating between startups, universities, and India as per technology and in the innovation area. Then we are also going to work in under the defense and security area. So in terms of development, we are co-developing these two things, that is jet engine advanced core technologies and electric propulsion systems, right? So this area where again there has been a co-development which has been discussed, and again strategically we are cooperating in the Indo-Pacific and Indian Ocean region, right? Very important, many times you must have come across in a prelims examination, they ask about joint military exercises. So between India and UK, with respect to Navy, we have Kongan. With respect to Air Force, we have Cobra Warrior. And with respect to Army, we have Ajay Warrior as a joint military exercise between India and UK. Many times they has been asking questions with respect to joint military exercises. Then talking about the idea of climate and clean energy, that is again, which is a global phenomenon nowadays, right? So we are working for joint projects on energy storage, grid transformation, offshore wind energy, right? Again, we have discussed what are offshore, which are not there in the mainland, which are in the ocean region. So we're going to explore wind energy in the offshore areas, right? Then again, it is also talking about support in India's clean energy transitions and UK's green goals. So this is on the area of climate and clean energy, which this document has been talking about. Then it is also talking about in the areas of education and people to people types. So many times we have seen that again how UK universities are opening up their campuses in India, right? So this is where they have been talking about. Then again, increased mobility, as I discussed, the visa norms has been eased out for IT professionals, many of them. So again, that has been talking about people to people tie between India and UK, right? And again, it is also going to strengthen the cultural, academic, and civil society links between two countries. Then in terms of multilateral cooperation, as we have discussed it again, the world has been moving towards more unilateralism, and these multilateral institutions has been losing out in terms of their dominance. Again, the two countries has discussed that again we are going to be advocating for reforms in UN security councils and organizations like WTO, WHO, IMF, and World Bank. Again, it is also supporting India's global leadership role across these multilateral cooperation institutions, right? So these are the areas where again this document has been talking about. Generally, with respect to India-UK relations, some facts which we are going to discuss. The volume of trade is 39.7 billion euros, right? Terms of exports, so we have a trade surplus with UK of approximately 23.1 billion euros, right? And India's sixth largest FDI source, right? Again, that is how important this country is for India in terms of foreign direct investment, right? And in terms of institutional mechanisms, we have Joint Economic and Trade Committee with respect to any issue around trade between two countries, and also economic and financial dialogue, which are the institutional bodies which are working towards the areas what we have discussed, right? So this is very important news, and India UK is very important for maybe this year or next year examination, because this has been a landmark achievement and landmark deal after the whole Brexit which has happened, right? Then the next important news, National Cooperation Policy 2025 has been released by Ministry of Cooperation. And again, the theme is Sahakar se Samriddhi, that is prosperity through cooperation, right? So cooperate is very important, right? And again, in fact, very important. Why? Because this year 2025 is International Year of Cooperatives, right? And the theme is, of course, cooperatives build a better world. What are cooperatives? You must have heard in polity that again, these are basically voluntary organizations where again, a group of people come together for a particular cause and they form a cooperative with not much of profit motive, right? That has been the area of cooperation, and it is a very important tool for development at a grassroots level, right? If I ask you a few questions, right? Let's say cooperatives is formation of cooperatives a fundamental right? Yes, under Article 19(1) subclause C, to formation of cooperatives is fundamental rights. It is under again DPSP as well. There has been under 73rd and 74th Amendment Act, there has been discussion of cooperatives as well. These are the few constitutional areas where again we about cooperatives. It can be linked to GS paper number 2, again very important, governance, polity and social justice. It can also be linked to paper number 3, Indian economy and the idea of inclusive growth, because with these cooperatives we are going to go by the growth that is inclusive in nature, right? So what exactly the policy is talking about? So it is a national policy which is going to modernize the cooperative societies there in India, right? Tell me in comments few examples of cooperative societies what you know, right? Then in terms of background, this is the second cooperative policy after the year 2002, right? And vision is of course cooperation as a tool for nation building and prosperity, right? And the aim is to make cooperation a driving force for India's development, right? And lastly, the mission is to build professionals, transparent cooperatives, tech-enabled cooperatives, accountable cooperatives, self-reliant cooperatives. Very important keywords which you can use in your answers, right? Because answers in mains examination demands usage of certain keywords. So these kind of news gives you important keywords, which are of course given by the government itself, right? Then in terms of key objectives of the new policy, right? So they have been asking about that again, establishment of cooperatives. So again, the policy talks about that in every village there has to be a creation of one cooperative, and in each tehsil there is going to be 5 model cooperative villages, right? This is how we are promoting the idea of cooperatives at a very grassroots level. Then we are also talking about again how important cooperative is in terms of contribution to Indian GDP and development. So the target is of course to triple the cooperative sector's GDP share by 2034, right? Then again we are going to expand the coverage of cooperatives. Currently we have 8.3 lakh cooperatives in India, working in India. We are targeting to increase it by 30%, again very important. So there has been new focus. Still now cooperatives have not been there on these areas in tourism, insurance, taxi services and green energy, right? So on these areas we are focusing for creation of cooperatives as well, right? Very important facts for your prelims as well as to be used in mains examination with respect to the idea of inclusive growth, right? This is a very important component when we talk about the idea of inclusive growth in India, right? Then in terms of certain reforms, legal reforms, this idea talk about that again, we are going to update the cooperative policy every 10 years, right? So this is 25. So next year by 2035, we are also going to update so that again, we are moving on with the new changes with respect to what has been happening in the economy, right? And again, we are also going to monitor that how exactly these cooperatives are functioning. Again, for that, we are having a cluster-based development and a real-time tracking and support system, which is going to monitor these cooperatives, right? Then in terms of significance of cooperatives, again, very, very you must have been knowing that again, how important they are for rural development. There are many cooperatives who have been working with an idea of water supply in villages, right? In terms of farmers support, right? So the PM Kishan Samriddhi Kendras, they cooperatives are working as maybe PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendras in terms of providing support to farmers. Then in terms of health and public services, the Jan Aushadhi Kendras, what you have been listening, the common service centers, so these are run by cooperatives, right? In the areas of clean energy, it can be linked to the solar missions of India like PM Kusum, right? In terms of women welfare, these cooperatives are helping women in terms of income generation, in terms of how self-help groups have been interlinked with these cooperatives, and the idea of skill development, which these cooperatives are promoting with respect to women welfare. Then, in terms of credit and housing, we know there are a lot of cooperatives who are working in terms of providing credit and housing facility. For example, they are helping in terms of providing of loans, housing schemes for members, right? So, these are the few areas with respect to significance of cooperatives in the Indian sector, right? So, moving on. Again, this is how do you see that again the pillars of cooperative growth in India? Why I have picked up this image so that again these are a few presentation skills which you can use in your answers as well. Whenever a question of cooperative, maybe we can draw this diagram and talk about that how exactly with good foundational institutions, with innovation, with future preparedness, with inclusive and research, with respect to sector diversification and youth engagement, the cooperative growth is going to be achieved in India, right? So talking about there has been a lot of questions with respect to cooperative. Few questions we are going to discuss. Example, in 23 there was a question: the cooperative sector is critical to India's rural economy, but it faces multiple challenges. Examine, right? So maybe you can talk about how this you can discuss challenges, and in solution you can talk about how this new cooperative policy of 2025 is going to be a game changer, right? Then one question in 2020: what are the challenges and opportunities of cooperatives in ensuring inclusive growth in India? Again, interlinking it with what? Paper number 3, that is idea of inclusive growth, right? So again, same topic, but again a question in paper 2 as well, and one question in paper 3 as well. So again, that is how you're going to diversify your knowledge with respect to interlinking, not between subjects but between papers of the examination. The next important news for the day: so a parliamentary estimates committee has released a report which is talking about the promotion of natural and organic farming, right? We have discussed many times in our previous discussions about how what do you understand by natural farming and organic farming, right? So again, very important fact again for your prelims examination, right? So tell me what are the who are the members of estimate committee, what are their functions. With respect to estimates committee, it is going to check the spending of the government and again provide that how efficient that spending could be. That is a major task of this estimates committee, right? Tell me what are the members, who are the members who are eligible, right? And how they are getting elected in the comment section, right? So it has been released by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and again the theme and title of this particular report is recommendations for climate resilient agriculture via Krishi Vigyan Kendras. Very important, this institution of Krishi Vigyan Kendras, which is going to talk about how we are going to work with respect to the idea or the changing nature of climate which is happening across the globe, and how agriculture need to be resilient to the change what has been happening in the climate, right? So again, it can be interlinked to again very important GS paper number 3, agriculture and the topic of environment. What are the major recommendations with respect to the parliamentary estimate committee? So again, we are going to work towards the idea of financial allocation, because what we have seen when we talk about natural and organic farming, less amount of investment or financial allocation has been done. That is a problem, right? And again, these are the solutions which has been recommended by the committee with respect to increase in funding for national innovations in climate resilient agriculture, right? Adoption of phased and rotational approach to extend climate adoption, and strengthening market linkage and developing premium pricing mechanism for natural crops. what are the challenges which usually farmers face with respect to adopting natural and organic farming? Because many times there are no standardized rules and regulation with respect to this. And again, it has also been seen that again, yield is going to be decreased. If a farmer is using chemical fertilizers and pesticides to grow a certain amount of crop, of course the yield is high. If he is switching to organic farming, in the very short term, right, there is going to be a decrease in his or her yield, and this is where support needs to come from government, right? So these are the areas which has been discussed. Please read very detail in about all of these areas. So again, it is talking about how we are going to use climate resilient seed varieties, right? And these are the areas how we are going to provide to them. Then in terms of organic certification, that is one very important problem, because there is no differentiation of a normal product with an organic product, and certification parameters are also very varied, right? So again, we are going to standardize that as well, right? Because many people are not aware about how exactly these crops are certified to be organic in nature, right? So again, we are going to create a unified organic label, right? Then we are also talking about organic farming transition, that as I discussed, people are very much, or in fact farmers are reluctant in terms of how it is going to decrease the yield, how it is going to impact the livelihood, right? So again, it is also talking about again how we are going to make this transition process from a chemical fertilizer based farming to this natural and organic farming, right? So we are talking about again direct financial incentive. Of course, DBT, that is direct benefit transfer, some incentives has to be given, that this has been this committee has recommended. And lastly, it is also talking about safe pest management practices, because what we have seen, there has been a widespread and irresponsible use of pesticides which are found in what we call as various food products, which is entering the food chain also, right? So with this natural and organic farming, this problem has also been discussed, right? So we are going to use biological pests which are very natural in nature. So that is how it is very important with respect to natural and organic farming in India, right? So please read, and again, you can use these recommendations in your solutions of your answers. Once again, we talk about the sustainable nature of agriculture as well, right? Then one question which has been asked, that again, what are the present challenges in India's organic farming environment? Again, straightforward question, where again, this is a picture which talks about the problems, that is the issues, and the suggestions, right? Exactly to be replicated in this kind of question, right? So sometimes some current affairs are very explicitly coming in the form of answer writing as well, just like an answer, right? So use them in terms of writing down your answers, right? Then moving on to the next news of the day. So recently, scientists have found out in Lakshadweep there has been a reduction of coral reefs by 50% in the last 24 years, right? So again, coral reefs, very important for your topic of geography and environment and ecology. Very beautiful. This is how you see like very beautiful creatures of oceans, very important in terms of environment as well. So they have found that again in Lakshadweep, 50% corals have been reduced, or coral loss has happened in the last 24 years. And it has affected regions of Agati, Kadmat and Karavati, right? And the cause is for what? What has been the cause of reduction? They have been talked about that recovery, because usually coral bleachings are happening. So after that bleaching, there is no recovery which corals are gaining. That is how, and that has been the reason which has been discussed with respect to the loss of coral reefs in the region. Timeline has also been discussed. There are few years of El Nino, some disturbance which is happening over there, 1998, 2010, 2016, which were the years of El Nino, which has also been contributed to loss of corals in Lakshadweep, right? Because repeated stress leads to weak recovery, and again creating long-term coral loss. Then with respect to why are corals dying, what are the reasons? Because what we have seen, generally climate change is happening, and again climate change is affecting everything what you can think of in terms of environment, right? So again, with climate change, there are heat waves, right? So corals are sustaining or thriving at a very particular temperature, right? So with increased heat waves, again coral bleaching are happening, right? So that is how you see white skeletons somewhere around the coral region. That is again the idea of coral bleaching, right? So then again, many times what we have seen, stormwater runoff and pollution, because many times certain polluted waters which is entering the regions of coral is also affecting and again also contributing to the idea of coral bleaching, right? Then in terms of sometimes there are very low tides, because low tide means what, water quantity is less and it is exposing coral to maybe up in the atmosphere, again leading to maybe coral deaths, right? Then we talk about overexposure to sunlight with the, of course, with low tides and everything, right? And many reasons, that's like shifting currents, ocean currents, right? Sedimentation, which is bringing in the coral area, El Nino, right? So again, these are all adding to the coral stress. And which are the reasons? Again, very why I'm telling you this, they can give you 4 options in examination, right? And they can ask you which of the reasons are one of the reasons or the causes of coral stress or coral depletion which is happening in India, right? So please remember and very carefully read all the causes, because these are the areas through which UPSC asks questions in prelims examination. Then we talk about the idea of why corals are important, very brief and very important. Again, they are considered as biodiversity hotspots. They cover 1% of ocean, very less, but again, they are contributing a lot in terms of environment because they are supporting 25% of marine life, right? In terms of environmental and human benefits of coral, they are again home to filter feeders, for example, sponges, which is cleaning the ocean. They are also supporting fishing and livelihood in the regions of coral. Again, it has also a lot of medicinal properties, and again, in terms of tourism and oxygen production. So these are the few areas which is talked about why corals are important. Moving on to certain static information, that again, what are the few conditions which is ideal for a thriving coral reef, right? So temperature optimum is 23 to 29 degrees Celsius for coral survivor. Depth, that it should be having a depth of 50 meters for sunlight to for penetrate. Then in terms of salinity, what is the requirement? In terms of clarity of water, that is we're talking about the idea of how sedimentation is hampering these corals as well, right? And in terms of hard substrates like volcanic rocks and which are providing an attachment, where again corals attach and thrive on these areas, right? In terms of India, very very important, where do we find corals? We find in Gulf of Kutch, Lakshadweep Islands, Gulf of Mannar, the Palkwe region, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and somewhere around in Maharashtra region as well, right? So these are the areas where again corals are found in India, right? Then moving on to the place in news, that is Cambodia. Again, warlike situation has been happening over there, where again border tension is between Thailand over the territorial claims, right? That is why Cambodia was in news. So locate it in map, Southeast Asia. Why very very important? Again, the Act is policy of India as well, right? So where exactly is Cambodia? Because UPSC has asked questions many times from this region. They have asked you, please locate countries from north to south, right? Or south to north or east to west. So locate and see exactly where these countries are located in terms of north, south, east, west direction, right? Capital of Cambodia is Phnom Penh, right? Then in terms of neighbors, again we are seeing in terms of sea, there is a Gulf of Thailand. Then in terms of major rivers, Mekong River, Tonle Sap River, right? And in terms of mountain ranges, we have Dang Krek Mountains in the northern part. Then again, we have Kravant in the, and again, Damin Mountains in the southwest part. Important facts, read it, right? Because it's a very important area. And in terms of India also, right? Southeast Asia is very important. So again, and again, we have seen also many times UPSC has asked questions with respect to map-based questions from this particular region. Moving on to the quick updates for the day. So recently, renewable power generation cost report has been released. Again, few facts. You can use these data in questions which talk about the renewable energy, funding of renewable energy sources, right? And again, they can ask questions in prelims examination in terms of some factual pointers as well, right? So again, it is done by International Renewable Energy Agency, that how exactly the entire world is moving forward with an idea of renewable energy, right? So what they have discussed in terms of capacity addition with respect to this renewable energy, solar energy or solar power, solar has been contributing or has increased a surge of 77.8%. Wind has been in terms of creation of 114.3 gigawatts of energy. In terms of cost comparison, it has also been found out that again the cost of production of energy is very less as compared to the amount of money which is being spent on these fossil fuel energy production, right? And wind energy is declared as the cheapest renewable energy source, right? And again, in terms of economic benefits, it has also seen that again with this production of renewable energy, we have saved approximately $467 billion, which could have been used to produce energy by the use of fossil fuel, which has been avoided, right? There are a lot of risks with respect to renewable energy, which this report has discussed. That again, it is with the geopolitical tensions rising, with the supply chain issues, again interlinked, all the issues very interlinked to each other, and trade barriers, right? So this is very important with respect to your usage of data in mains examination, or certain prelims based questions like this could be asked. They can ask you which is the cheapest source of renewable energy. Again, wind energy, right? Then the next news for the day, double taxation avoidance agreement. You must have read in economics. What exactly is this? Let's say if you are working in India and you are also freelancing for work in Dubai, or let's say UAE, right? So it is possible that again UAE can ask you, even if you're doing a freelancing job over there, so you are getting a salary from a country like UAE, so you need to pay a tax over there. So for this, we India has signed between many countries double taxation avoidance agreement, which is going to ease it out for maybe a lot of persons who are Indian of Indian origin, but again working in different countries, right? So it is a tax treaty between two or more countries, and it ensures that again income is not taxed twice in both countries, right? It is benefiting with respect to double taxation, and again it is reducing tax burden majorly on NRIs, PIOs, and OCI card holders, right? And it allows for tax, even if you are getting taxed, you can claim exemption with respect to the tax what you have already paid, right? So India has signed a double taxation avoidance agreement with 94 countries, example Australia, UAE, UK, USA, etc., right? So why it was in news? Because Supreme Court has recently passed a rule that again we have a double taxation avoidance agreement with UAE, right? So let's example that again, if a company which is there in UAE, even if it is renting one small property in India, right, or one small office space in India, that is also coming under a permanent establishment, which is again in the double taxation avoidance agreement, and again that establishment need to pay tax because they're opening up their office in India itself, right? So this is why this topic was in news with respect to this Supreme Court ruling regarding double taxation avoidance agreement. The next news, that is PM Vikas scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Virasat ka Samvardhan. Again, we have discussed in the previous news discussion as well. That is very important scheme of government with respect to minorities in India, right? So again, it is central sector scheme. What are central sector schemes? Tell me in comments. What are the differentiation between a central sector scheme and a centrally sponsored scheme, right? Again, release very important whenever reading schemes. What type of scheme it is, what is the major aim of scheme, and which ministry is associated with that particular scheme, because these are the areas around which UPSC asks or frames question. Again, coming under Minister of Minority Affairs, with respect to holistic development of 6 notified minority communities, which are those Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, and Zoroastrians or Parsis, right? So again, the scheme has converged the earlier few schemes with respect to minorities. Example, Sikho or Kamao, Nai Manzil, Nai Roshni, Ustad, Hamara Darohar. Why it was in news? Because third empowered committee meeting with respect to this particular review and implementation of Vikas scheme was there, that made this scheme back in news. some reason, if a scheme is coming back in news, that makes that scheme important for your examination. Even if in mains examination, you can quote in any question who talks about, again, the topic of social justice, vulnerable sections, because minorities again come many times, they come under vulnerable sections as well, right? You can quote these data in your answers as well. Then with respect to the next news, that is IRNSS, that is navigation with Indian constellation. All of you must have used Google Maps, right? So is it an indigenous app, or is it Google is an Indian company? No. So you are using maps which are navigating, or the satellites are not owned by India. So India, through ISRO, has been developing its own navigation app that is called as Navic. So we are sending more satellites so that again better accuracy of this whole indigenous navigation system could be achieved. That is why it was in news. So again, it is coming under ISRO, and again, it is India's independent regional navigation system. It is covering the positioning of India approximately and plus 1500 kilometers beyond the borders, and it is also reducing the dependence on foreign GPS system. In terms of services, two services are being provided under it. Number one is standard positioning services, that is applicable, which can be accessed by all users. In terms of strategically restricted service is also there under this particular NAVIC, that is, it is giving encrypted information and encrypted data with respect for military and strategic use, right? Update, ISRO has sent 3 next gen NAVIC satellites, again, which is going to enhance the accuracy, coverage, and sovereign capability with respect to the global position, or the positioning system, or the use of navigation in India, right? The next news, that is Bambusa tulla, that is an eco bamboo, an ecological bamboo, which is there. Again, it is what kind of type it is? It is a clump forming bamboo. And again, it is going very fast, and it is found in India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand. And again, it can grow up to 1500 meters, right? Then in terms of flowering type, it is a monocarpic crop, that again, it has a life of up to 25 to 40 years, right? It is being used in terms of edible shoots. They are eaten, the pickles or the bamboo pickles what you eat, they are used for that as well. They have medicinal properties. They are used in tonic and aphrodisiac, right? And in terms of products, they are used for agarbatti sticks, paper, furniture, handicrafts. So recently, there has been an innovation which has been done by IIT Guwahati, which is going to talk about the eco-friendly use of this bamboo composite, where again, because what we have seen many times in the car manufacturing, there is a use of plastic. So that plastic is going to be replaced by this eco-friendly bamboo. That has been the news. Very important. Many times they can ask you question about the features of this particular type of bamboo, right? So please read, very important for your prelims examination. The next news for the day, Maritime Development Fund. So again, recently there has been a discussion in New Delhi about Maritime Financing Summit, which was happened. And again, basic idea that again, how fund need to be generated for maritime security, right? So again, it is going to be a blended financial vehicle. It is aiming to reduce the capital cost and attract long-term investment in the maritime sector. And again, it is focusing on shipyards, coastal infrastructure, inland waterways. And again, it is also supporting some kind of maritime reforms. What we have seen, the turnaround time at ports has been cut to 1 day. What is turnaround time? If from port A to port B, one ship is traveling, what is turnaround time? That how much time it is taking from A point to B time, and again come back to that A point, that time is called as turnaround time, right? Economic Service also talked about it again, how in the ships or in the maritime sector we have improved a lot, right? Then again, 100% FDI is allowed in FDI in the shipping sector. Very important fact for your prelims examination, right? And it is also going to boost the blue economy and logistics efficiency in the maritime sector. Very important, some facts for your prelims examination. Then Kala Utsav was organized, and again people from Sohari art, Pattachitra and Patua art were called by president in this Kala Utsav which has happened. Very, very, very important for your examination with respect to Indian art and culture, right? So, few facts. This Sohari art is basically found in the Jharkhand region. It is linked to Sohari harvest festival. It is practiced by which tribes and communities? Oran, Munda, Sandan, and Santal communities, and it is painted on mud walls using natural colors, right? Very important. Again, why I'm telling repeatedly, because this is where UPSC has been asking questions every year. Something which is in news takes a form of question in prelims examination, right? Themes, what kind of theme are there? Capital plans and tribal motifs. This is how it looks like. In terms of patta chitra, patta means patta means cloth and chitra means picture. In Odisha, a traditional art form or a painting where again it is being done in cloth, and again the painting is done on a cloth piece, right? So it theme is basically on Hindu mythology, Jagannath, Krishna, because of course the whole idea of one of the four dhams is in Odisha, that is Puri, right? And the materials which you used are natural dyes and fine detailing. This is how maybe on cloth pieces this painting is being done. Lastly, Patua art, which is an art form of West Bengal, right? It is also called as scroll painting. It is drawn again on cloth, that is patti, and again artists are called as patuas, which sing again stories while unrolling the scroll, right? So whenever they are making their singing song is a very, very good cultural practice. And again, the theme of these kind of paintings are mostly religious or folk tales around the region, right? So again, this is an example how a patua art looks like, right? So now the last news, that is environmental flow, that is e-flow. It was in news. Why? Because what do we understand by e-flow? Because naturally what rivers are flowing, right? But again, a lot of pollution is happening to river. That is of course of great importance, because not just humans, a lot of environmental species are dependent on these ecosystem of river, right? So what is environmental flow? It is the quantity, timing, and quality of water flow needed to sustain river ecosystems and the livelihoods which are dependent on this river ecosystem. What is the importance? It maintains ecological health of rivers and estuaries. It is supporting biodiversity, fisheries, agriculture, and ensures cultural and economic river functions. The challenge with respect to e-flow or the natural flow is what? The dams which are getting created, pollution which is happening, encroachments which are happening around the regions of natural flow of the river, which is in maybe disrupting the natural flow of river. What is the result? Ecological balance and degradation of river. So again, what government has talked about, that again we are going to be focusing on implementation of Ganga and its tributaries with respect to environmental flow. It is being led by under the Union Jal Shakti Ministry, Minister of Jal Shakti, and it is aiming to restore and sustain natural river dynamics. Right. So this is how we come to an end of today's news today. Now, whatever important topics what we have discussed, some few objective questions which are framed from this particular news will be popping up in your screen. After you have read the document, after you have seen this discussion, you're going to solve questions. That is how you're going to complete the entire cycle of preparation of current affairs. Very important. Please solve the questions. Please post in the comments whatever you answered, right? And lastly, Vision IS has come up with a digital current affairs platform, which is a one-stop solution for all of your digital current affairs issue. Please go and explore this particular website, which is providing a lot of benefits and solutions with respect to current affairs in this examination. Thank you so much and have a good night.